Welcome back. Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call Pittsburgh CW continues on the Borders and Borders hotline. Your opportunity to call us is right there at 412-575-2600. Paul Zeiss, Bob Pompeani with you here tonight. Paul, the Pitt Panthers have run into a team that got real hot, but, you know, we have this tweet here from Ron Matthews, who says there's no excuse for Pitt to play this badly against an awful Clemson team. Well, I also look at it the other way. Clemson came out and shooting lights out. They made a lot of, 8 for the first 10 three-pointers went down. It was Steph Curry good from the outside. When you make shots like that, you build up a lead, and that's what Pitt found itself against.
I think the other thing is, Bob, the awful Clemson team is probably a little too strong. I know they're 1-5, but I wish sometimes people would look beyond the record. Okay, they're 1-5, but they had to play Virginia, Syracuse. They were at Florida State. You know, they play. I mean, they basically played five of the best teams in the conference, and they lost those games. But they really didn't get pounded by. You know, I mean, they were competitive. They were probably more competitive with some of those better teams than Pitt was. So you're on the road in the ACC. Should you get blown out? No. But I think people don't understand how good the ACC is.
They have 7 teams ranked in the top 25. Plus,
yes,
that team that Clemson just lost to on a buzzer beater the other night, NC State, almost beat number 3 Virginia tonight.
Right.
So,
and I think the thing about it is every night is a grind. And when you only have, you know, when you don't have the depth, like Pitt doesn't have the depth, and when you have young guys, this is their first time through this thing. It's going to be a grind, and I even wrote about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. After they beat like Florida State or whoever, I said, don't get all excited and giddy thinking they're going to go win 8 or 9 games. It's not that easy, and they're going to hit a wall, and they're going to have all the things that happen, and so it's not that big of a shock. I don't know if it's a shock to you. It's not a shock to me.
I expect them to be competitive, but again, when a team shoots 8 of 10 from 3 to start, all of a sudden that's a big deficit right off the bat, and they got into foul trouble. When you do that, they're so thin. I also want to ask you about the situation with Jerry Dulac of the Post-Gazette reported today that it looks like not only will Keith Butler be the defensive coordinator, but they're going to give him the job that was created with the firing of Joey Porter, so he becomes outside linebacker coach as well. I think they needed to go out and get more people there. What about you?
I thought they should have made Keith Butler the outside linebackers coach and go get a defensive coordinator, but that's just me.
Do you think Terrell Austin down the road was brought here for maybe the long term?
Maybe. I mean, you know, I think that one of the probably the things about it is they brought him in because he has that experience.
Yeah, he does have the experience.
It's another set of eyes. So you know, the bottom line is they've added another defensive coordinator essentially back there, and they're going to try and get it right. I just don't think when your defense needed to be fixed, and it was a big problem that you had, why overload the guy that's running it with another position to coach? You can go get I mean, how much does a outside linebackers coach really cost?
Well, given the fact that head coaches are making $10 and $11 million a year, I'm sure the price of everybody's going up.
Okay, I understand that, but here's my point.
No, your point is they have money to spend.
You got money. Go get an outside linebackers coach, and Bob, you probably could go and get a linebackers coach that probably had defensive coordinating experience. So you bring another guy into the mix that can help.
And there's no salary cap for coaches either. All right, let's go to the lines. 412-575-2600. Marilyn in Munhall, you're up. Hey, Marilyn.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Anytime.
What does it mean when they refer to a hockey player's plus-minus score?
That means when he's on the ice, if his team scores a goal and he's on the ice during that goal, he gets A+. If he's on the ice when they give up a goal, it's A-. It's believe me, it's not 100% indicative of what a player may be doing. You could be on the ice and victimized because someone gave the puck away and you happen to be on the ice. But it is something they've used for a long time, and it does give you a little bit of a barometer.
It's like this, you know, it's like the old school stats in baseball that all these newfangled analytics guys want to completely dismiss as meaningless. It's not meaningless.
No, it's not.
It's not necessarily meaningful, but there is something that you can gain by looking at it.
Right.
That you and I agree on that. I can, because on Twitter we always like these analytics guys who, you know, if you use RBIs or if you use errors or if you use one of these stats that they feel like, oh, well, that's an old school stat. It's not meaningless.
No. And here's the thing: if you look at the Penguins right now, there's one player who has a dreadfully bad minus, and you know who that player is? Evgeny Malkin.
I was gonna say,
but if you watch him play, you know he's struggling.
Right.
So therefore, it is indicative.
Exactly.
He's minus 21. Everyone
Yes.
else on that team is Dumoulin's plus 28.
Yeah.
That's a huge change.
And that tells you that plus 28, if it's plus 5 or minus 5 in the course.
Yeah, maybe there's
you're plus 28. That tells me you're playing reasonably.
And you're minus 21. That tells me
Yes.
you're not. And
Right.
I think Malkin needs to step up the game. And I believe he will. Let's go to Waylon in Washington. What's up, Waylon?
Hi, Bob. Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Good to hear you guys.
Thanks.
Hey, it's not a question. It's just like your opinion. A couple different things. I really like your topic on the coaching for the linebacker with Butler.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm going elsewhere. Like the the Super Bowl. I mean, is it is it possible? I know you got 60 minutes to play the game, and I don't want to be negative, but I mean, do you think it's going to come down to a referee's call?
I mean, it could. It's happened a lot. But,
yeah, I hate to be like that. But
you're not being negative. You're being real. That's what's happened this year. And those guys have got to make the right call at the right time. And I disagree with those who think, because I know this is a common narrative, too, that the Saints lost the game maybe earlier, should never come. Well, it did come to that. And it's down to this particular play. That particular play, if called correctly, ends the Rams' chances of winning. Could New Orleans have won the game earlier by doing, instead of settling for field goals? Sure. But you're at that point of the game, Paul. That call, if it's made correctly, gives L.A. no chance to get the ball back.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and that was a big call, and it's obviously something that has been talked about a lot. But
I didn't mean to bring it back up.
I'm from the school of thought that you got 140 plays in a game. One play is huge, but it doesn't mean you win or lose, because there's no guarantee the Saints would have made the field goal after that they got the first down.
Yeah, it would have been a chip shot.
Right, and maybe they'd have missed it.
Well,
or got blocked.
True. Let's go to Bob in Indiana, who's next up on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. What's up, Bob?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, gentlemen.
Sure.
Hey, got two things. One is you had some discussion off and on about the overtime. Why don't they just do an extra 15 minutes? Whatever comes out of 15 minutes, if it's still tied, you just play another 15 minutes instead of just one person has the ball one time or two times and scores.
Well, I would agree that both teams need to touch the ball regardless of what happens on the first possession. So, and then at that point it becomes sudden death. It should be, but the first two possessions, each team should have one, Paul. I've always thought that, and I don't understand why it's not that way.
Well, here's my thing. If the Chiefs would have got the ball, they would have went down and scored. They'd have kicked off, and Brady would have went down and scored, and they would have lost anyway. So my thing is, I don't actually hate to go all the 15, go the entire 15 minutes. I would like to see you go the entire 15 minutes. If it's still tied at the end of 15 minutes, go to the college format.
We have a tweet here from Brian Bolton, who says, if Clemson's leading scorer Marquise Reed had stayed at Robert Morris, they would have made the NCAA tournament the last 3 years. Too bad that program could never be anything more than what it is. But what it is right now is 8-0 in the top of the ACC or NEC.
NEC, yeah.
So Andy Toole has done a very good job with that team.
And I think the other thing is that's the reality for mid-majors now, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, it is.
Everybody can transfer. I mean, transferring's easy. There's no stigma attached to transferring anymore.
All right, one more call before we go, and I'm going to go out to Pete in Squirrel Hill. What's up, Pete? How are you?
Hey, guys, how are you tonight?
Good, thanks.
Hey, Bob, real quick before you get to the break. I'm curious about the Penguins and about Rutherford's move with Alexiak. All through the offseason, Bob, he was talking about that Tom Wilson cannot have his way with the Penguins, that physicality.
Right.
He designates Alexius to fight him. Alexius listens to him. He gets knocked out. He goes into the doghouse, Bob, and gets shipped out of town. Can you explain that to me?
I don't think that was it. I don't think that was it, Pete. What I think it is they just have a surplus. And I think what Jim Rutherford may be doing, I don't know this for sure, is he may be loading up picks so that he can include them in trades. They now have 8 picks in this coming draft, Paul. They have 3 fourth-round picks. You may think fourth rounds are not that important, but a lot of teams like fourth-round picks. Maybe that's what he's doing, knowing that Justin Schultz is about to come back. There's only so many guys you can play. I know depth is important. And they have to create some salary cap space.
That's the thing I was going to say. By moving on from him and getting a pick, maybe and then today doing what they did, bringing a center up, maybe they're getting ready to move Broussard, and they've got an idea of a player they want coming back that's going to cost some money.
You never know. We got to take a break here. It's 412-575-2600. Call us. Air your opinions right here live on Pittsburgh CW.